Our film starts in 1876. We see Count Dracula get out of his coffin and head to a girls' boarding school where he finds a young girl sleeping and kidnaps her and takes her back to his castle where he proceeds to feed on her. As this happens, the villagers where the school was head to Dracula's castle with their traditional pitchforks, torches, and shovels, finds Dracula in his coffin, and stakes him. Fast forward to 1976 and a construction crew is doing some digging and end up unearthing a coffin. The name on the coffin is Barbara Wiedenborn. One of the workers steals the cross off the coffin before they then call the police to let them know about their finding, but by the time the inspector comes by, they see it's gone. We then find that an antique dealer somehow has possession of it. Before he can enjoy his new finding, the coffin opens up, and the young victim comes out. She then comes after him, fangs out, though he initially thinks she's pulling a prank. Eventually, she catches up to him, manhandles him, and bites him, draining him.
Das war ein netter Scherz, Mädchen. Du hast mich wirklich erschreckt. Aber jetzt ist Schluss mit dem Spaß. Jetzt geht's heim zur Mutter. Ich werde doch bestimmt nichts sagen.
Nein! Nein, was wollen Sie? Nein! Was soll denn das? Nein!
After she drains him, she sits down just to then age to an adult, including somehow her dress converting to an adult size, but we won't think too hard about that. Next, we see Barbara walking down the street where she gets bothered by a random drunk who proceeds to hit on her. As she runs off, she nearly gets hit by a car. The car is belonging to the Inspector Harris, who happens to be the guy on the case of the antique dealer's murder, who is heading to the funeral parlor where the body is being housed. They get to the parlor and talk to the funeral director, and while they're at the parlor, Barbara arrives. They find out she's the newest employee of the place, and Harris proceeds to ask her out, which she agrees. After he leaves, we see Barbara draining one of the bodies, and it's implied she drinks the blood of the corpses. We fast forward to the date, where Barbara freaks out and runs off when the waiter pours some type of garlic sauce on her steak. He eventually catches up to her, and things go well until she once again freaks out, this time as they walk past a church and she sees a cross. Despite all this, she's pretty hot, so of course he ignores every one of the red flags and attempts to go for a kiss, which she somewhat dodges as she fights the urge to go for his neck. She takes off back to her penthouse, goes to her coffin, and goes to sleep. The next night we see the boss at her funeral parlor having a Halloween party. Barbara goes to the back just to find out that there are no bodies left to drain and her blood stash has been depleted. She goes to her boss, Mr. Marmerstein, just to find out that they had found and got rid of the blood stash. Marmerstein's girlfriend, Irene, gets suspicious of Barbara and follows her. Next thing we see is Barbara feeding on Irene. Mr. Marmerstein walks in on Barbara feeding on Irene, and as she heads toward him to attack him as well, he drops some alcohol in fear, resulting in the entire room bursting into flames.
Das ist nur ein schlechter Scherz. Fräulein Barbara. Fräulein Barbara!
We then see her turn into a very cheesy-looking bat and escape the facility and head back to her coffin. Mr. Marmerstein goes to the police and tries to explain to Inspector Harris and Eddie what happened, but clearly the whole "a vampire ate my girlfriend and flew away like a bat" story didn't go over too well, especially since Harris has a thing for the suspect. Harris heads to Barbara's place to talk to her, but ends up planting a kiss on her, resulting in her freaking out, this time having PTSD on Dracula biting her. She assures him the issue is in him, and he takes off. As soon as he leaves, she takes off and breaks into a blood bank. As she's raiding the fridge for blood, a nurse walks in. When she sees the nurse, she drops the glasses of blood she removed and decides it'll taste better from the tap and feeds on the nurse instead. We then see Harrison investigating the crime scene later on. Eventually, Barbara gets a new job as a desk clerk at a hotel where she constantly gets hit on before Harris picks her up for another date. He once again tries to go in for a kiss, but this time succeeds before he's buzzed on his car phone and is told he has to head back on duty. He gives her some jewelry he picked up earlier after investigating her latest victim, and then she gets into a cab to take her home. As the cab driver talks about murders, she gets hungry, fangs out, and bites him.
Total abgemuckst. Im Blutdepot. Schon der Ort. Grausam. Also ich meine, ich finde es geschmacklos, im Blutdepot jemanden abzumurksen. Aber die Leute heutzutage, früher war das anders. Da gab es auch noch kein Fernsehen. Da war ein Mord eben noch ein Mord. Etwas Einmaliges.
As she gets home and opens the gift, it's a cross, which burns her hand. She drops it on the ground and smashes it with a hammer. Back at the station, Eddie tries to convince Harris the obvious, which is that all the victims are the work of a vampire, which he again dismisses. Eddie then visits Barbara to let her know about his suspicions, though he stabbed himself through the foot while explaining. As he walks away, we see her start to fang out at the smell of his injuries.
Heute ist ein neuer Tag.
Once he is gone, one of the pervy residents then hits on her, and the next thing we see is him dead, drained of blood on a park bench. At the crime scene, Eddie notices the pearl from Barbara's ring. After conferring with an expert about the history of the pearl, as well as seeing a group of costume goers with one wearing a Dracula mask and a dress that resembles Barbara's, he deduces Barbara must be the vampire. We then go to Barbara's place where Harris is with her. When he tries to get to third base with her, he notices the bite marks on her neck, which she makes an excuse for. Again, ignoring the red flags, he goes back to seducing her, which is when she fangs out and attempts to bite him. They wrestle around the apartment with her going full-on feral, but just before she can finish him, she sees the sun begin to rise and heads to her coffin. He follows her in, and as he looks in awe at his dream girl lying dead in a coffin, she springs up and drags him in. The film ends with Eddie arriving, seeing the moving coffin, and asking the audience if he should disturb them. Thanks for watching. If you like this content, please leave a like and subscribe, and hit the bell icon to know every time I update. If you want to help my channel grow, please check out my Patreon, where you can get access to content early, as well as see the content that can't be uploaded here on YouTube. Link will be in the description. Until next time.